I'm Sam, Flying Kite, and this is The Horror Show. It's week 24, and this week we're starting the new trilogy of Nosferatu. I don't have the original physically, but I do have the other two. And what do you mean by the other two? I mean, I got the 1979 one? Yes. And I think it's 79 anyway. And the 2025 one. It's not like a legitimate trilogy, but it's kind of a trilogy just because there's the original and two remakes. Whatever. It's pretty good. Is it like the best thing ever? It's directed by F.W.Murnau. Max Schreck plays Graf Orlok, Nosferatu. Alexander's Granach plays Nok ein Hausmanger. Gustav van Wangenheim plays Hutter. And Greta Schroder plays Ellen. I think that was fine. Nosferatu is Dracula. I'm not quite sure who Nok ein Hausmanger was in this. It's a little hard to tell at times because of certain things, but Hutter is supposed to be Jonathan Harker, and then Ellen is supposed to be Lucy Harker. See, Nosferatu is basically Dracula, but kind of different. And you see, Murnau, the director, was like, "Hey, I want to do Dracula," but Bram Stoker or his wife, whoever was alive, I can't quite remember the details, was like, "No thanks, no." And he was like, "You know what? Fine, I'll make my own version of it." Made his own version of it, and right after it, got sued effectively to oblivion, and all the copies of that movie had to get destroyed. And it's effectively a miracle that we have access to this movie now. But because it survived its own Holocaust. But anyway, IMDb has this movie as a 7.8 out of 10. About almost 120k people voted. Let's get into what I think. The story is a 4 out of 5 for me. I really like it. It's really simple, and as I said, it's Dracula, basically. So, what makes it different? Instead of Renfield going and seeing Dracula, and then Renfield's the one selling him the house, Hutter is sent out by Renfield, effectively. And after selling Dracula the estate, Nosferatu in this movie, it's kind of a race back to Germany, which is where the movie takes place. I can't quite remember where in Germany. Northern Germany, I think. But the one thing that I really like about Nosferatu that's not in Dracula is the plague. See, in Dracula, it's just him baby. And if he killed someone, then that person comes to and becomes a vampire, and that's how that spreads. But in Nosferatu, there's a plague. There's like an actual sickness going through. And I really like that about Nosferatu, because then it's like, is there a vampire or is it like a plague? And it's really easy to go and point fingers at people or persons or whatnot. And of course, I really like kind of the old ending, in which I probably get more in detail as we go along this trilogy. But the whole relationship between Ellen and Nosferatu, in the sense of there being this feeling of fate between the two of them. Characters for me, and this is, I really hate giving these grades, but there are reasons why I'm giving them these grades. Characters is a 3.5 out of 5. I think the biggest thing I really like about the characters is that you can tell what's happening. You can't hear them obviously because it's a silent film, but you can tell, if a person's happy, if they're sad, and what's going on without having to hear it. But then it's like sometimes it kind of feels a bit over the top, and then it just feels a bit odd, and it's like, okay, really dramatic, basically. In which, that's like, some people each their own, but for me it's like, yeah. the music is a 3 out of 5, and which really sucks that I'm putting the music as a 3, because I'm sure if I were to hear the original music, then it's probably really good. But the fact of the matter is that, not legitimately, but there's not literally, my bad, not literally, but there's like 10 different soundtracks for this. So, you know, you might not even be listening to the original one, you might be listening to some other person's soundtrack. But, that's the one thing that kind of sucks about this movie. It doesn't have an original sound, and if it does have an original soundtrack, I really need to listen to it, because I'm sure it's really good. And if it's not, then, okay, you got me there. The setting is a 4 out of 5 for me. It's the same kind of situation. Nosferatu is from Transylvania, but instead of going to London, he goes to Germany, or some city in Germany. I always forget what the city was called, but instead of it being in England, it's in Germany. That's like the only difference, and I kind of like that, because I like things that take place in Germany, movie wise. I don't know what else you'd be thinking. Atmosphere and effects is a 4.5 for me. And there's not really a lot of effects in this movie. There's a lot of atmosphere, though. And whenever there are effects, it's more like camera kind of playing around, like shadows on the wall, or maybe specific shots. But that's when it's like, okay, atmosphere. And there's a lot of really nice shots I really like in this movie that are kind of immortalized, I would say. Like the picture of Nosferatu next to the fireplace, or the picture of him on the ship with his hands like this. Like, I mean, Ghost used that for one of their albums cover one. So I mean, like, it's people love that stuff, and I do too. So ultimately, I would say this movie is a 3.8 out of 5. So it's definitely, you know, worth a watch, but best of luck, Soldat. Let's go over my favorite segment of this whole thing. The 1 out of 10s, the 5 out of 10s, and the 10 out of 10s. Unendurable. Unwatchable. Old movies are just over-romanticized trips. This movie is garbage. In the minority, hard to watch, not that great. I would hardly call this film chilling. A goodish horror classic, or no, my bad, a goodish horror classic that has kind of stood the test of time. That's really positive. Max Schreck is Nosferatu, a symphony of horrors. Still remains one of the most visually harrowing movies of all time. A truly original vampire film. A tale of the Gothic legend in Murnau's masterpiece. So what would I say? It's a silent film, so you really have to be into it to be into it. So what would I say about the movie? I would say about the movie, a classic in which the devil lies within the detail, and every scene, every face that you see tells a little story of love, fear, and death. That's what I would say anyway. The biggest pro in this movie is the atmosphere and effects, the shots and whatnot of in general, of everything basically. But the biggest con is the music, just because it's really inconsistent when it comes to which soundtrack am I listening to, if I'm even listening to, you know, the older one or the oldest one, because there's like 5 to 10 different ones out there. So I'm Sam, Flying Kite. This was week 24 of the horror show. And I did a Nosferatu. Would I watch this again? I suppose so, but like, you know, which version and when? It's not anytime soon, honestly. No offense. Oh, maybe Halloween time, but we'll see. I will see y'all next week for Nosferatu. Goodbye.